Well, good morning, folks. Welcome back to 3's In. Grab a seat, and I'm going to tell you a little bit more about pilot training 1970 to 1971. I kind of have a good feel for that because that's actually when I went through pilot training, class 7107. So when I last left off with this thread, we were in T-41s. We began T-41 flight training 29 April 1970 and actually completed it on the 5th of June 1970. At any rate, here on the 22nd of May, we find ourselves about halfway through the training. And at this point, I had sold on the 18th, you can see that here on my grade sheet. And then this little asterisk up here, that was a snotty little ride I had, 1.4, and the grade was unsat. I didn't like that at all. I'd be happy to tell you what that was all about, but I just don't remember. And then you come down here on the 25th, I had a mid-phase contact check and got a good, a 91. And then at the end of the program, I had another final contact check down here, another good, another 91. And then to complete the program, I ended on an upward note with an excellent, doesn't everybody? On the 5th of June. At any rate, so we would spend half the day over at Stetson flying, and then the other half was again tied up with academics and physical training. Physical training again out at the over at the obstacle course with the weights and the 95-degree weather. The first 6 weeks of training, it was just all conditioning, is what that was. Then during this period in preparation for the T-37, we went through the altitude chamber. Now that was quite an interesting experience. That altitude chamber, for those of you that are still around Randolph, sits in the basement of building 661. I'm aware of that because I was told they won't ever pull that out because they have to tear the building down. So that's still downstairs. I have no idea what they're using it for or if they use it at all. But that was kind of an interesting experience in itself. I learned a little bit, a lot actually, about hypoxia and hyperventilation, about claustrophobia, and so forth. I still remember the symptoms of hypoxia that are unique that I carry. We also, during this time, had parachute training in a couple different ways. The first one was the seat training where they fired us up a rail in the T-37 seat, and then they took us over to Brooks Air Force Base, which was pretty close to Stetson actually, and they had a pickup truck and they hooked it up to a parachute. They hooked it up and they had these release cables on it, or release handles on it. So they'd tow us behind a pickup. You'd start running, and as the parachute got air in it, it started pulling us airborne. And we'd get up to a certain height, and then they gave us a signal to release the handles, which we would, and we'd release the tow rope, and we'd just float down to the ground, do our parachute landing, fall, and so forth like that. That was good training. It was a lot of fun. You know, Air Force training or any military training is probably the best training you can get in the world. It just, it is very good. And a lot of times I approach the training with, man, that's kind of fun. Except survival school. That was not fun, but I'll tell you what, I'm glad I went through it. We all were, for the most part. At any rate, that's kind of what we were doing between this 6 weeks as we went through T-41 training. We also began to get some more serious academics, introduction into flight and so forth like that. And we'll pick up more on that as I get into the T-37 phase. But I wanted to let you know that I hadn't forgot we're in pilot training 54 years ago, and so this kind of brings you up to speed with that. Good to see everybody. This is Bobo, Base Gear.